If he truly wants you, you won't have to decode his feelings. They'll show up before he ever says a word. Because here's the truth most people miss. Men reveal their emotions not in what they promise, but in how they approach you when no one is watching. If this is opening your eyes, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who keeps overthinking mixed signals. Because when you start watching how he approaches instead of what he says, you stop chasing clarity and you start choosing yourself. A man's approach reveals his emotional investment before his words do, because attraction is first expressed through behavior, not language. Long before a man verbalizes interest or commitment, his actions begin to change in subtle but consistent ways. Emotional investment naturally pushes him to move closer, create connection, and reduce distance. This happens instinctively, often without conscious planning. Words require intention and courage, but approach is automatic. When feelings are present, effort shows up naturally through presence, initiative, and consistency. When a man is emotionally invested, his approach feels purposeful. He finds reasons to initiate contact, whether through messages, calls, or in-person interactions. He doesn't wait for perfect timing or external validation to engage. Instead, he moves toward you because emotional interest creates momentum. His curiosity deepens, his attention sharpens, and he becomes more engaged in conversations. This is not performative behavior, it is a reflection of internal motivation. Emotional investment pulls him closer rather than keeping him passive or distant. This approach also shows up in reliability. A man who feels something real makes himself emotionally available. He follows through on plans, remembers details, and creates continuity in interactions. His presence becomes predictable in a comforting way, not overwhelming or inconsistent. Even when he feels nervous or unsure, his desire to connect outweighs his fear. That nervous energy often appears as increased attentiveness, gentle persistence, or a desire to impress, all of which signal emotional involvement before words ever do. In contrast, when emotional investment is low, the approach lacks clarity and direction. Communication becomes sporadic, effort fluctuates, and engagement feels reactive rather than intentional. This is not because he is busy or confused, it is because emotional pull is missing. Without emotional investment, there is no natural drive to move closer. The absence of approach is not a hidden message waiting to be decoded, it is the message itself. Understanding this shifts the focus away from analyzing words and toward observing patterns. Emotional investment does not need explanation. It reveals itself through consistency, initiative, and presence. When you learn to watch how a man approaches, instead of waiting for verbal confirmation, you gain clarity faster and protect your emotional energy. His behavior shows you where you stand long before he ever explains it. Unconscious behavior often exposes true attraction because genuine emotions are difficult to control or disguise over time. While words can be chosen carefully and actions can sometimes be intentional, unconscious behavior slips through without planning. These subtle, automatic responses reveal what a person truly feels, especially in romantic situations. When a man is attracted, his body language, tone, and attentiveness often shift naturally, even if he is trying to appear casual or unaffected. Attraction activates instinctive responses that are hard to suppress because they come from emotion, not logic. One of the clearest signs of unconscious attraction is increased focus. A man who feels something real will listen more intently, remember small details, and show heightened awareness of your reactions. He may lean in when you speak, maintain eye contact longer, or mirror your movements without realizing it. These behaviors are not calculated. They are reflexive responses driven by interest and emotional engagement. His mind prioritizes you automatically, which shows up through presence rather than performance. Nervousness is another powerful indicator of unconscious attraction. Even confident men may display subtle signs such as fidgeting, changes in voice tone, or brief hesitation when interacting with someone they care about. This nervous energy is not weakness. It is emotional vulnerability. When attraction is genuine, there is something at stake, and the body responds accordingly. These reactions often appear before any conscious acknowledgement of feelings, making them reliable indicators of emotional involvement. Unconscious attraction also reveals itself through consistency. A man who is emotionally drawn will naturally gravitate toward you without forcing it. He checks in, responds promptly, and finds reasons to stay connected. This behavior feels effortless because it is not driven by strategy or obligation. Even when life becomes busy, his interest continues to show up in small but meaningful ways. By observing unconscious behavior, clarity replaces confusion. You no longer need to decode mixed messages or overanalyze words. Attraction does not hide itself for long. It leaks through behavior repeatedly. When you learn to trust these subtle cues, you stop chasing reassurance and start recognizing genuine interest as it naturally reveals itself through actions. Consistency matters more than grand gestures because true feelings are revealed through repeated behavior over time, not occasional displays of effort. Grand gestures can be impressive, romantic, and emotionally exciting, but they are often temporary and sometimes driven by impulse, guilt, or the desire to impress. Consistency, on the other hand, requires sustained emotional investment. It shows whether a man genuinely values you enough to show up repeatedly, even when there is no immediate reward or spotlight. When a man is emotionally invested, his behavior becomes steady and predictable in a healthy way. He communicates regularly, follows through on what he says, and maintains the same level of interest regardless of circumstances. This does not mean constant attention, but it does mean reliability. His presence does not fluctuate dramatically based on mood, convenience, or external pressures. Over time, this steady approach creates emotional safety because you know where you stand without needing constant reassurance. Grand gestures often create emotional highs, but they can also mask inconsistency. A man may plan an elaborate date or make a dramatic declaration, yet disappear emotionally afterward. This pattern creates confusion and emotional instability because the highs are followed by unexplained lows. Consistency removes that confusion. When effort is reliable, attraction feels calm rather than chaotic. You don't feel the need to analyze every interaction because the pattern speaks for itself. Consistency also reflects priority. A man who values you integrates you into his routine naturally. He makes time, communicates honestly, and keeps you in mind even during busy or stressful periods. This type of behavior cannot be faked for long because it requires emotional energy and genuine motivation. Over time, inconsistency reveals a lack of emotional commitment, regardless of how impressive occasional gestures may seem. Understanding the importance of consistency helps shift focus away from emotional theatrics and toward meaningful connection. Real feelings do not need dramatic proof. They show up quietly, repeatedly, and reliably. When you begin valuing consistency over grand gestures, you gain clarity, emotional stability, and the ability to choose relationships that feel secure rather than exciting but uncertain. Emotional safety shows up in how he initiates contact because initiation reflects intention, confidence, and emotional availability. When a man feels emotionally safe and genuinely interested, he does not hesitate to reach out. His initiation feels natural, respectful, and consistent rather than forced or sporadic. He contacts you not just when it is convenient or when he is lonely, but because staying connected feels important to him. This type of initiation communicates care without the need for excessive explanation. A man who offers emotional safety initiates in a way that feels calm and grounding. His messages are clear, his tone is warm, and his communication does not leave you questioning his intentions. He does not rely on vague check-ins or breadcrumbing to keep your attention. Instead, his initiation reflects presence. You feel considered because he reaches out with purpose, whether it is to share something meaningful, make plans, or simply check in. This creates a sense of emotional steadiness rather than anxiety. Emotional safety is also reflected in consistency of initiation. When a man is emotionally available, he does not disappear and reappear unpredictably. His communication rhythm may vary, but it does not create confusion or insecurity. Even during busy periods, he finds ways to stay connected. This reliability reassures you that interest does not vanish when life becomes inconvenient. Emotional safety comes from knowing that connection is stable, not conditional. In contrast, when initiation is inconsistent or hesitant, emotional safety is lacking. Mixed signals, delayed responses without explanation, or only reaching out on his terms can create emotional imbalance. This often leaves you questioning your worth or the future of the connection. Such patterns are not signs of depth or mystery. They indicate emotional unavailability or uncertainty. Recognizing emotional safety through initiation allows you to trust behavior instead of chasing clarity. When a man initiates with intention and consistency, it reflects genuine care and emotional presence. Emotional safety is not created through words alone. It is built through how someone shows up, reaches out, and makes space for you in their life. Effort is a reflection of priority, not personality, because people naturally invest time and energy in what truly matters to them. It is easy to excuse low effort by assuming someone is shy, busy, or not naturally expressive, but genuine interest has a way of overriding these traits. When a man values you, he finds ways to show up regardless of his personality type. Introverted, reserved, or quiet men still make effort when emotional motivation is present. Effort is not about charm or confidence, it is about importance. When you are a priority, effort becomes consistent and intentional. A man makes time to communicate, follows through on plans, and adjusts his schedule when necessary. He does not leave you guessing about his interest because his actions align with his words. This effort does not always look dramatic or extravagant. Often, it appears in small, reliable behaviors such as checking in, remembering details, or making sure you feel included in his life. These actions signal that you matter to him on a deeper level. Low effort, on the other hand, often gets mislabeled as personality. Inconsistent communication, repeated cancellations, or vague plans are sometimes justified as someone being laid back or emotionally reserved. However, when something truly matters, people rise above their default tendencies. A man who is excited about you will push past discomfort, inconvenience, or fear to maintain connection. Lack of effort is rarely about incapacity, it is about choice. Understanding this distinction is empowering. It prevents you from internalizing someone else's lack of investment as a personal shortcoming. When effort is absent, it does not mean you are asking for too much. It means the emotional priority is not there. Recognizing this helps you avoid chasing, overgiving, or lowering standards to accommodate inconsistency. When you evaluate effort through the lens of priority, clarity replaces confusion. You stop overanalyzing behavior and start accepting it at face value. Real interest shows up through effort that feels natural and sustained. When someone makes you a priority, you feel it without needing to justify or explain it to yourself. Nervousness and presence can signal genuine feelings because when emotions are real, a man becomes emotionally invested in how he is perceived and how the connection unfolds. Nervousness is often misunderstood as insecurity or lack of confidence, but in reality, it frequently appears when something truly matters. When a man cares, there is emotional risk involved, and that risk activates heightened awareness. He becomes more attentive, more careful with his words, and more focused on the moment. This subtle tension is not a weakness. It is a sign that his feelings are engaged. Genuine nervousness often shows up in small, unconscious ways. His voice may soften or change slightly when he speaks to you. He may pause before responding, choosing his words more thoughtfully. He might laugh a little more, fidget subtly, or appear unusually focused during conversations. These behaviors are not rehearsed. They happen because he wants to make a good impression and does not want to jeopardize the connection. Emotional investment creates stakes, and nervousness is the body's response to those stakes. Alongside nervousness, presence is one of the strongest indicators of real feelings. When a man is emotionally involved, he is mentally and emotionally present with you. He listens fully instead of multitasking. He remembers details you shared earlier and brings them up naturally. His attention does not drift constantly to his phone or surroundings because, in that moment, you are the priority. Presence communicates care more powerfully than words because it shows that he is choosing to be fully engaged. This combination of nervousness and presence creates emotional authenticity. A man who is indifferent may appear overly relaxed or detached because nothing feels at risk. In contrast, a man with genuine feelings shows up with a certain alertness and intentionality. He may not always be perfectly smooth or confident, but he is real. His focus is on connection, not performance. Understanding this helps you interpret behavior more accurately. Instead of mistaking nervous energy for uncertainty or lack of interest, you begin to recognize it as emotional investment. When nervousness is paired with consistent presence, effort, and respect, it is a strong signal of genuine feelings. Real attraction does not always look polished. Often it looks human, attentive, and slightly vulnerable because something meaningful is at stake. Avoidance or confusion often reveals emotional unavailability because when someone is emotionally available, their behavior naturally moves toward clarity rather than uncertainty. A man who knows what he feels and is open to connection does not consistently create distance or mixed signals. Even if he moves slowly, his direction is clear. Avoidance, on the other hand, shows up as hesitation, inconsistency, and emotional withdrawal. These patterns are not signs of hidden depth or unspoken feelings. They indicate a lack of readiness or willingness to engage emotionally. Confusion is frequently mistaken for complexity or emotional struggle, but in reality, genuine interest simplifies behavior. When a man feels emotionally available, he wants ease, not chaos. He communicates directly, initiates contact with intention, and follows through on what he says. When his actions leave you questioning where you stand, it is often because he himself is unsure or unwilling to commit emotionally. Confusion is not something you need to solve. It is information about his capacity for connection. Avoidance can appear in subtle ways. He may delay responses without explanation, avoid making plans, or pull back after moments of closeness. These behaviors create emotional distance and uncertainty, even if his words suggest interest. This push and pull dynamic is emotionally draining because it keeps you in a state of anticipation and self-doubt. Emotional unavailability often disguises itself as being busy, cautious, or unsure, but the outcome is the same: a lack of emotional presence. Recognizing avoidance as emotional unavailability protects your emotional energy. Instead of overanalyzing his behavior or trying to earn clarity, you can accept what his actions are showing you. Someone who is emotionally ready does not leave you feeling anxious, confused, or unseen. Their approach brings calm, not constant questioning. Understanding this shifts the focus from trying to fix or decode someone else to observing patterns honestly. Avoidance and confusion are not challenges to overcome, they are signals to step back. When you honor these signals, you make space for connections that are emotionally available, consistent, and capable of offering the clarity and security you deserve. How he approaches you teaches you how he values you because behavior sets the standard for what is acceptable in a connection. From the very beginning, the way a man shows up, communicates, and invests creates a pattern that reflects his level of respect and emotional priority. Approach is not just about attraction, it is about intention. When someone values you, their behavior naturally aligns with care, clarity, and consistency. You are not left guessing your importance because it is demonstrated through action. A man who values you approaches with purpose. He communicates openly, makes time, and treats connection as something worth protecting. His behavior reflects consideration for your feelings and your time. This approach creates emotional safety because you feel acknowledged rather than overlooked. When value is present, effort feels steady and mutual, not one-sided or conditional. You are not required to chase attention or prove worth because his actions already communicate it. In contrast, when approach lacks intention, it often signals low valuation. Inconsistent communication, minimal effort, or unclear intentions teach you that you are not a priority. These behaviors subtly condition you to accept less than you deserve if you ignore them. Over time, this can lead to self-doubt, overgiving, and emotional imbalance. How someone approaches you consistently shapes how you feel about yourself within the connection. Recognizing this empowers you to respond consciously rather than react emotionally. Instead of hoping someone will change or eventually step up, you can observe their approach and decide whether it aligns with your standards. This awareness allows you to protect your emotional energy and choose relationships that feel respectful and secure. Ultimately, approach is a form of communication that does not require explanation. It teaches you where you stand and how you are being valued. When you trust behavior over potential, you stop settling for ambiguity and start choosing connections that reflect mutual care, effort, and emotional presence.